Welcome, everybody, to episode 4 of the French Fox podcast. This, of course, is the show where 5 friends, who are the French Fox Productions team, take a seat for about an hour and have a fun conversation where they tell stories, discuss lots of fun topics, whether they're personal or just in pop culture, compete in some intense competitions, and do even more. So get some snacks, wash your guinea pig, do whatever you do during podcasts. And before we begin, let's establish our shout-outs. For the best comment, we have Khaled, who had a very insightful comment about robots and technology. And for the iTunes, thank you 996man for the 5-star review on iTunes. Also, we did have some delay for the episode this week. It came out on Friday, if you noticed. We had some technical difficulties, but just to make everything clear, we're now releasing it on a cool site called Anchor, and it will no longer be released on on SoundCloud. It's still released on iTunes, and more places being released soon, so we'll announce those soon. Last but not least, let's introduce the team. We have Dylan.
Hey.
Will.
What's up, guys?
Ben.
Yo.
I am Augie, and we have our special birthday boy, Noah Davis.
It's not my birthday.
No,
but
it is his
yes, it
birthday.
is.
It's his birthday.
I think I would know my birthday more than you guys. It is not my birthday
Don't
today.
let
Your
him
birthday.
trick you. It's his birthday.
He was born today.
So,
Yeah.
that-
not 19 years ago today.
No.
Today.
Today.
You're
Yeah.
19.
that's really
I know.
old.
We are
That's
recording live from
You
the
can go to
hospital. Labor has just been completed and Noah is here. So
It's
He
the
had
day of
previously
his
been speaking
birth.
But
the
I mean,
first
the
ever.
thing is, I wasn't born in a hospital.
where
What?
were you born?
Story time.
Since
Tell
we
me.
last spoke on Noah's full entire life.
Since
you-
we last spoke 19 years ago, Noah has never told us something.
Hey, last week at the end I was like, "Oh, I didn't get to tell a story. It was
Well,
really
yeah.
good." So that was still a lie, but I do have a good story. I was born in my home, in my bed, not my bed, my parents' bed.
In a
but-
crib.
Yeah. So I was born in my mom's bed. They had like midwives come in and help deliver me.
Oh, so it's like a
and-
Game of Thrones situation.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And
Like
I
a
don't know,
midwife
I-
crisis.
No. Jesus.
Sorry, guys.
Jesus.
And Augie will
Wow.
not be returning to the podcast next week,
Sorry, come
sadly.
on, midwife crisis.
But yeah, so they had like midwives come in, and
So this was planned.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I was delivered at home, so I was born in the home that I lived in for like all of my life. I only moved like kind of recently in
Wow.
like high school, out of that house, but that was like literally where I was born and lived.
And how does
Yeah.
that make you feel leaving that house?
I mean, it was a while ago, so I'm good now. But it it was really hard. It was all I knew.
Speaking of time flying, I mean, that was 19 years ago. And for
To the
my,
day.
since we last spoke, which is, just to clarify for any new listeners, that's the segment where we talk about things that have happened since last week when we last recorded the podcast.
Or birth.
Or birth in specific occasions. So this week is basically the last week of school. This week was the last week of school. And we had all of those final end-of-the-year awards banquets. And it's not much of a story, but it's really crazy. I feel like every year gets faster. Like every year goes by faster and faster.
Certainly.
I know the science of that, actually.
So do I. It's pretty cool.
Please.
I'll let you start.
No, well, I know the science of it like in the sense of like a road trip. It's kind of the same thing where if you notice driving somewhere for the first time is always longer than the way back because your brain notices every single new thing. But
Yeah.
then on the way back, it's not going to notice that McDonald's in the corner or that Starbucks or that piece of trash in the street. So it's kind of the same thing for school.
Really?
You notice
Yeah.
every
I had
little
no
thing.
idea. I thought it just felt like it, but it really just because how your mind processes it,
Right,
actually
so-
Yeah.
So, like, for example, the first day of school might feel like a really
like
long
as a
time.
freshman.
Right, because you're noticing every little thing like, oh, that's where a trash can is, and oh, this is a poster on my teacher's door. But then, senior year, the last day, you know everything. Like, there's nothing new to
Yeah.
notice.
And also, like, I think that just each year you're taking on, like, more and more work and responsibility. So, like, it's just you don't have as much time to think about how fast things are going. Like, each year of school, you're in harder classes. You're, like, looking even closer to college or the future. So I just think that it might just be you're busier and then you don't have time to think about how fast time is going by, you know?
Right. And another weird thing is kind of nostalgia. Like, when you're thinking back to a moment, you're like, oh, I remember that. Like, that was good times. And you get this like certain feeling in your stomach and your gut.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird because you think like, oh, in this moment, I'm never going to have nostalgia for this moment because I don't feel anything specific. But then like in a year from now, then you think back and you have that same feeling. Like it's like a weird repeating thing that you think you won't feel it for the present when you're feeling it to the past. And then in the future, you feel it.
Yes.
That's right. That's really confusing. But you know what I mean.
No, I get what you're
I'm
saying.
following. And yeah, I think it's just like, it's the same way that like art like isn't expensive or like valued while the artist is alive, but then once the artist is dead, you're like, oh, I better pay lots of money for this.
Let
you
me
know?
let me say something crazy about art. I love art. I think it's beautiful. Like I'm talking about like paintings and stuff like that. Something I never understood is like those paintings that are worth like $3,000 where it literally looks like a kid took like a blue
You're talking about like abstract.
It's not even abstract. It's literally just like a blue line on a white canvas. and
No,
that's all
yeah,
it's-
I think I have to agree with you. It's brutal. Like if you go to LACMA or something, and there's like that piece where it's like the 6 like LED lights that are just like the colors of the rainbow or something different. Like it's like that's just a light. Like I and it's not to say that, like obviously like lighting is art. Like when you're like
Right.
doing a shoot or something. But I personally think that like 6 LEDs next to each other, I think it's like a display. I don't know if I'd call it like a work of art. Like it doesn't take genius to be like, guys.
Yeah, or like when like you're in a museum and usually they just have those the art pieces, but like they have a little thing where it's like a toilet. Like it's just like a toilet. Like
Oh,
you know
yeah.
they bring
Right.
just
And it's supposed
object
to be
from-
like super deep. It's supposed to go.
Yeah, those are
oh,
called
society.
ready-mades, and I
Right.
don't really
I
understand it.
don't
But something
understand.
really cool if you've ever been to LACMA is I'm pretty sure it's LACMA is that room with the it's like all of those. It's the track set up, and it's like this giant track. It looks like a train
Oh,
track,
with the
but it's the
cars?
cars.
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
so
yeah.
cool. If you've never seen it, go check it out at LACMA.
It's like if you ever played with those like Hot Wheels kits, this is like your dream. It's so fun, but like you don't get to play with it, but it's just so fun to watch. It's really satisfying.
Very interesting. Well, speaking of art and things like that, I want to get on this topic because I was talking about someone with this about this this past week.
Wait, say that again. You're talking about someone with this?
No, okay.
You're
I was-
talking to
I
someone.
was talking to someone about this.
There we go.
Because art, especially things like music and video, like film, short, stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
in this era of technology where it's never been easier to release something and get it online and get people to see it, it's also never been harder to get people to see
Yeah.
it because there is such a oversaturation
Definitely.
of
yeah.
music, video, all this stuff, like writing, photography, everything. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to talk about like, do we think like, is it better or worse? I guess is what I'm saying. Like, because there are pros and cons, but like, is it overall a better effect to have this accessibility? But you know, the best things might not be seen, especially like think about on YouTube with clickbait.
Yeah.
There's such an oversaturation of content on
I
YouTube.
think-
You have to clickbait, and those are usually the lower quality because the higher quality they just don't get that draw.
The clickbaiting isn't just because there's so much content. It's also because of the way YouTube makes their algorithms and the way content is seen and like how many watch hours you have to get and all these like requirements that have changed, which are like making creators have to do these insane video titles and stuff like that just to get enough people to click it in like the first hour so it shows up on like their feed or whatever. There are all these like sketchy things happening. But
Right, and that's mostly because there's so much content,
Yeah.
and that's why
Yeah.
the algorithm is so
I mean,
picky.
The
Mhm.
problem that YouTube and other companies, but I guess YouTube's been the most in the spotlight for this, is the company was originally founded, or at least when it was getting big, this is what people loved about it, including myself. But it was originally on the basis of people being able to create art and express themselves in any way they chose, and then just upload that for the world, and the world could see it in any way that they chose to like view it on their time. And now it's becoming a little bit more just mainstream media in the way that the videos that get featured are the ones now that are usually sponsored, or they're huge budget, or they're super high production value, and it feels like it's lost the heart that it had, which inevitably was going to happen. But
Yeah, well, there's it's a really interesting and kind of sketchy thing that's going on. So you know the YouTube trending page. So when you go on there,
Oh,
there's the trending
yeah.
page, and
Yes.
it's
Oh,
you know
yeah.
the number one most trending to
Mhm.
whatever. So that YouTube likes to make it seem like that is it's just a thing where it picks up the most trending things and it just puts them on there like it's an algorithm. That's not true.
Wait,
it's been
really?
proven that there is
It's handpicked.
yeah, it's handpicked at YouTube because there's been examples like there was a video of H3 Productions. They had this big announcement that they had won this lawsuit. It had like 7 million views in like an hour. Everyone was sharing it, and it wasn't even on the trending list. It wasn't in the number 1 to number 50 trending. But YouTube is so sketchy about everything that they do that they don't say that it is handpicked. They like to make it seem like it's not, but it really is. And where it gets even more sketchy is a lot of the times the top trending things will be Jimmy Fallon and the carpool karaoke stuff.
New movie trailers.
Exactly,
Oh,
which
yeah,
might
that's
not
what I was just gonna
actually
say.
be the most trending things, and people think that there's something going on where these companies are paying YouTube to get on this trending page, so it's not a natural thing,
Yeah.
and they're getting the most views only because they're paying so much.
And it's been very interesting to see too, in that most YouTubers, but especially the really big ones from the old days or the glory days of YouTube, I guess you could call it. But there is now a little bit of a schism, I think, between the company and its creators, which is really interesting to see the creators using YouTube's own website to fight them.
Now this is 50% a brag, 50% adding to the discussion.
Oh no.
But I actually made it on the trending page.
Did you pay
not
for
me
it?
personally. No, but that's the thing is that we didn't have any contact with YouTube. Like
Right.
that was a random one. I think they throw in a couple random creator videos in
most
there
definitely.
just because it's not handpicked.
It's not rigged,
It's
no.
not all movie trailers in Jimmy Fallon.
It's like when
There's
you're
some creators in
rigging
there.
a lottery, so you give it to all your friends, but then you throw in someone that you like kind of don't like, so you can be like, yeah, no, why would I give them that? No,
Yeah.
of course not.
It's like how if you ever I have never done this. I'm academically very honest, but I know of people who have the answers to tests before they take it, and the trick is you have to get 1 or 2 wrong. So the teacher, the teacher doesn't know because no one's perfect.
I just want to defend the YouTube algorithm, like the featured page, real quick, because I'm thinking if it was purely an algorithm, you could have an issue where some really horrible things that someone puts on YouTube and haven't been caught yet or taken down are trending and getting millions of views because
It
people
happened.
watch
Like
horrible
what? things.
Okay, so like you have like ISIS videos of like you know
Okay.
stuff. So I'm
But
thinking stuff like that.
Then it becomes a problem with like building off of that about the inappropriate content that people like to watch. Like when that Logan, it's been said so many times, when that Logan Paul video originally came out, YouTube had seen it. They put it on the trending page. I
For
think
like
for
2
until it was called
days.
out for like by a lot of really big people. Like it wasn't like they missed it. It was up there for so long.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, there was a Logan Paul video a couple
Suicide
months ago.
Forest,
He went to the Suicide Forest, which is a very serious thing. Like, it's not like a fun comic book place. Like, it's a very serious thing. And he filmed someone who had just committed suicide.
and laugh.
And that just goes to show you that I'll bet you YouTube did not even watch the video. They just
Yeah.
saw like, oh, new Logan Paul vlog. This looks interesting. Yeah, let's trend it.
Yeah, and there's one thing for like
'Cause it'll
Jimmy
help us.
Fallon, like that's on NBC, right? NBC. That's not going to be inappropriate. So I get just putting those on there. It shouldn't
Mhm.
happen, but like not watching a YouTube video, which is not governed by anyone,
Yeah.
especially like a Logan Paul thing.
Like
it's
to put it on
ridiculous.
trending where you know you're now feeding it to millions of viewers without checking it first is just so irresponsible. If you're going to be kind of doing shady business like that, you at least then have the responsibility to make sure that you're not feeding the masses really graphic or bad content.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say really quickly before I say what I'm about to say, I totally know that what Logan Paul did was wrong, but is
Uh-oh.
no,
Will's
I'm
about to
not
defend
defending. No,
Logan
no.
Oh,
No, all I'm saying is, was there not a movie about the Suicide Forest like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, and why did that not receive?
Because this was a real person who had hanged himself.
Right.
And Logan Paul filmed a
hung.
real dead body. It wasn't a Hollywood prop, which would have still been controversial for
I'm sure
him
there was
as a YouTuber.
controversy,
But like a
around
big
the movie.
Hollywood movie, which has like writers and a script and like tons of thought put into it, where they're going to say, how can we like make this not as offensive? You know, how can we like portray
Yeah.
this? And once again, I don't know about this movie, so I don't know how
Right,
they
right.
did it. But when it's just a vlogger who went there because he knew it'd be good content with no like without thinking it
Well,
through in
You know,
advance.
one
and
is
filming
one
a
is
real dead
artistic
body.
representation of a real life thing, and like movies tackle touchy subjects all the time. So I don't even think
Right,
I have
no,
a problem with
I
the movie at all, and I don't know the movie at all. I had never even heard of
I
it,
was
so I can't
just-
really comment.
I was just wondering
on
if anyone
that.
had ever seen the movie because I
No.
was wondering why it did not receive backlash.
Yeah, I
at
mean,
the time.
I know the movie you're talking about. I remember seeing trailers, but I never saw it. I know it was like a horror movie,
right.
And I could see how that would be offensive, but going to the actual spot and I mean that's just inexcusable.
Right, I wasn't saying Logan
Yeah,
Paul
no,
shouldn't
no,
have
no,
received
no.
backlash. I
Why
was
didn't
wondering
the
why
movie?
this
Yes.
movie did not as
I
well.
mean, for me, my anger at least was less about him going there. Like that's just kind of dumb, but it's a mistake that I could see someone making. But then it's that all of that happened, and then he decided that he should still upload the video, which to me is just so disrespectful to the victim and to that victim's family, where all of a sudden it becomes the whole world's business that of this tragedy of this one person and their family. Like
Right.
it's just not something that millions of people should be seeing. It's none of their business.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then it kind of leads into the point that like, why does America and just like the world like reward that, and like why are certain people like famous, and you know what I mean? Like it's sometimes like it's the same thing with the art thing, and you look at like these artists who have like sold their pieces for millions of dollars, and you're like, well, I really feel like I could have made that.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I feel like the people who America chooses to idolize and make famous, it's like, well, what do they bring?
Card-
Yeah,
Kardashians.
I think it's exactly. I think it's two different things. I think for the art, it's those very snobby rich people who want to say, I understand this, you don't. Because a painting that's just really beautiful of a forest or something, everyone's like, oh yeah, that's very beautiful. But like just a dot on a thing, it's showing like I'm high class. I can tell that
Gotcha.
this
Yeah,
is
I see what you're
symbolism
saying.
and a meaning. Versus the Logan Paul thing, which is those are just kids who are brainwashed by the high energy, no cares, all that stuff, like be a savage, all that stuff.
And honestly, both Logan and Jake Paul, they do have a charisma to them where it's understandable when people enjoy watching them.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, you watch one of those videos, like, obviously I hate them, but like they do a good job doing what they do, which is entertaining children. Like they have the perfect content for that, and I
Yeah.
see why they blew up, and I'm glad that they're now on the downhill, which we all knew would happen, but
Oh,
it,
yeah.
it took a certain amount of time.
I just kind of want to take it back to the art a little bit, just kind of like move forward a little bit. It's really crazy. Have you guys heard it's like they did a recent scientific, maybe not recent, but I heard about it recently, study, and they asked people from all different countries the most beautiful picture. Like they would do different pictures, they take things out and then put things in, and the most beautiful picture that anyone could describe wasn't of like a lake or a forest. It was of a savanna with open space, prey, and trees to climb.
Whoa.
And it's crazy that like we still find beauty in
Prey? Like
because
PREY.
PR.
no, I know.
RUI.
So like just animals.
Animals?
yes, and well, no, but not animals that can hunt you, not animals that
Gotcha,
would be
like
dangerous
calm
to
animals.
humans.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
It's like our
So no
survival
lions
instincts.
or anything.
Right, and so it's crazy that like
Like zebras.
yes, like zebras.
Why do we call zebras zebras?
Because that's-
we are the only country, and it's not correct because we don't have them here. So why do we get to call
I
them
really
something
feel like
different?
there's
Because
a lot
we're
of stuff
America.
like that where we separated from England and we just were like
Exactly.
bitter. So we were like, you know what? You like zebras and Z? No, it's Z
and it's
zebras.
aluminum, not aluminium.
Aluminium.
We
I like
suck.
aluminium so much better.
And we're gonna spell color differently
And the theater.
And shop.
and gray.
It's the same thing with the art people. Like, oh, we're above it all. We can do whatever we want. So it's like we're better than the British. This is how we're gonna do it. They call sweatshirts / jackets like jumpas.
Jumpas.
Like
Buzz.
jumpers. I'm just gonna put on my jumper.
For those of you who need a translation, that is jumpers in American.
Oh,
Guys, I hate to get scientific, but my tutor told me something and it kind of blew my mind. But like, if you go down the periodic table, stay with me. Chlorine.
You already lost me.
Chlorine.
Cl,
sorry. I
7
fell asleep
valence
for a second.
electrons.
Thank you.
Bromine.
Yes.
What's up?
I saw.
What else? Now I'm blanking on what's in the group. But basically, there's all these enes like chlorine, bromine, iodine.
Vaccine. Oh.
Why do we call it
Iodine.
iodine? It's
Instead of
probably
iodine.
iodine, just
That's
like
a good
everything
point.
else in the group. But everyone calls it iodide. Like
I'm sure there's some grammatical thing where when you have the R and the INE, when you have a, like, I don't know what it's called, like a soft consonant over
Yeah, English is just a
yeah,
really
like-
weird.
I'm
like
sure there's
more
some
pronunciation.
reason.
It's so yeah, but it's just it's
Yeah.
interesting. Like all the things are ene, chlorine,
Right.
like you said, but
Mm.
iodine. Who knows?
All right, so moving on.
To anything more interesting than
No,
that.
no, yeah. I apologize.
So I'm trying
I
out a
know.
new segment. Always exciting when we do this. So this is called Would You Watch? So every day in Hollywood, a multitude
Would
of
we watch this podcast once
No.
it's
Well,
video?
actually, you can't watch it because it's not a video.
no,
Sorry
I know,
about that,
but
guys.
but that's a good question. Would you guys watch this podcast
Will
if it was
wouldn't.
video?
yeah,
what's up?
Ben, would you?
No, I'm asking the
Sorry,
viewers.
I just for context, I just looked at Will when I said Ben. Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah,
Would you like to see a video feed of this podcast?
Can you guys answer?
Yes.
In the comments.
Oh.
Not you, Will.
I
No,
personally
so
would
anyways.
because at least 1/5 of the people in this room are attractive. So people might want to watch it. You know?
Wait,
Uh,
he's talking about me for reference.
So
Yes,
every
Dylan,
day in
that's right,
Hollywood,
that's
a
right.
multitude of different projects are picked up to be made. In this segment, I'll read you some very newly picked up stuff, like just released on Deadline Hollywood or Variety or one of those Hollywood insider things. And I'll give you some description, and I just want to hear you guys, your reactions, and then we'll decide, do we want to watch it or are we going to pass on that one? So let's start off. Picked up this week was the Addams Family animated movie.
Nope.
Dropping 2019.
No.
Hey,
Hard
give it a
pass.
chance.
I will
Guys,
not
I have
watch.
I already
I
don't
ha-
want to watch
Guys,
it.
I have some information.
Okay.
All right.
Who's
Who's gonna-
attached?
You could change my
I'll
mind.
tell
It
you. I'll
depends-
tell you.
yeah, on
But
who's
first,
attached.
let me give you the story. Well, we don't know exactly the story, but basically what was
Okay.
in the article is so Matt Lieberman wrote the script, which follows the kooky Addams family as they face off against a crafty reality TV host, while also
Okay,
preparing for their extended family to arrive for a major celebration.
I'm still, if anything, a harder pass than
Who's
I
the
was.
director?
But let me just give you the cast.
Yeah, please. That's important.
Charlize Theron
Nope.
as Morticia.
Nope. Not watching it.
Allison Janney as the TV host. Okay, she's great.
Yeah.
It's
Wait,
just,
but it's animated, just because.
Yes, yes.
yeah, it's just not
these
like
are
if
voice
it were live
actors.
action, it's different. But like
Bette
it doesn't.
Midler as
it's
the
anim-
grandmama.
Oh, okay. No, wait. Sorry.
Okay,
I
so
take it back.
yeah,
It's
so it's
animated,
Bette
yeah.
Midler as the grandmama.
Ooh, that's good.
Chloe Grace Moretz as Wednesday.
Nope. Not watching it. And I'm done.
Do you have
Teen
beef?
heartthrob Finn Wolfhard as Pugsley.
Definitely not
You may
watching
know
this. This
Finn
is
Wolfhard.
trash.
You may know Finn Wolfhard as what's his character name? Mike on Stranger Things.
This makes me feel like one of those things where they
Richie?
have to
Nick?
attach all these big names so people will
And-
go see it.
and well,
What
that's how
character-
most
which-
animated
What character
movies-
did he play in it? Was it Richie?
in it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He played
was
a
the kid with the
character in it.
glasses.
Yeah.
And Nick Kroll as Uncle Fester.
Oh,
Nick,
that's
who is-
really funny.
Nick
I will
Kroll is
watch
hilarious.
it just for
Nick
Nick
Kroll is one of the best like voice actors.
Oh my God.
He's
Oh,
hilarious.
hello.
So I think
So funny.
I think something fun could also be like, if you think it's bad, how could we make it better as well? Like
not
what,
animated.
Chloe Grace Moretz
Not-
out
what's so bad about
Finn
Chloe
Wol-
Grace Moretz?
as well. I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan of like these are just
Who-
such classic roles.
Who is that?
And,
Who
like,
is-
it's almost like
this
she's
is-
the
this
girl
is a
from.
good time to
she did
invite on our
Kick-Ass,
special guest.
She did
Chloe
If I
Grace Moretz.
Stay. You know,
she's a
she's the girl
popular-
from Kick-Ass. Nicolas Cage's daughter.
Yeah, she started
Love
as
it.
a very famous teen actor. Now I guess she's probably like 18, 19, 20. I don't know.
She's
Um,
probably older.
young
I don't know.
adult
Yeah,
actor.
probably 20.
So, anyways,
a guess.
do we want to watch or do we want to pass? Let's go individual. So, I'm not very like interested. Like, they don't really have a premise. Like, the premise isn't drawing me in. So, I'm gonna say for now, pass.
It really feels like it has the potential to be really bad and could end up being really okay. But that said, it's also not a movie that I'm like swearing against. So if any of you guys are going, I mean, I'll go with you. But I'm not personally like, oh, I'm pre-ordering my tickets.
like you guys, the listeners, or you guys like us? Because I don't know if we
I'm-
extended
I'm-
an
all of you
invitation.
both.
I'm anyone, everyone.
Okay. I can actually tell you exactly when I'm going to watch this movie. A year after it comes out and is released for streaming, I will watch the beginning of it, realize it is horrible, and never finish it.
Well,
Is
do you
what-
think Lucas is in it?
Who?
Lucas,
Is that
Wednesday's boyfriend.
I'm crazier than you.
Oh.
I'm crazier.
For those of you who haven't seen
Yeah,
the
we need- we
Addams
need some
Family,
context.
the
guys, no, stop,
musical-
guys. I'm voicing Lucas. You can't leak it.
Oh.
Oh.
I think
okay,
you just
okay,
broke your
everybody,
contract.
sorry,
Everybody
guys,
who
I
is
gotta go
watching
back
this
on
po-
mine. Hard pass.
Oh,
Everybody
no.
watching this podcast needs to sign an NDA now. That's a non-disclosure agreement because you now know that will be.
Okay.
Yeah. So
we need context. Wait, we need context.
Okay,
for the
sorry.
Lucas-
In the Addams Family musical, the premise is that Wednesday has a boyfriend, and she invites him over, and his name is Lucas.
and
I
Will-
And Will play
Will
Lucas
portrayed
in Addams
Lucas
Family
in a musical
at our
at our-
school.
Yeah.
I just looked up concept art for this, and I'm definitely
I know.
not going
it's like
to be
Tim
watching
Burton, right?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I
This-
see
Tim
it?
Burton
This
animation
is not.
cool.
I'm not going to watch this.
So
movie.
yeah, look it up if you want to see what we're looking at.
I agree with
I
Will.
mean, it looks pretty much like I'd imagine.
where it's like I'm not
just
going to go
kinda
pay to
basic.
see this movie, but if it comes out on Netflix, like
You would watch the first few
I'm-
minutes and see if it
like
see if it
eventually,
can-
I wouldn't like
Maybe,
right when it
like-
comes out, I wouldn't be like, "Oh boy!"
Yeah.
But maybe like a few months later, when I'm trying to find something to watch, I'd be like, "Oh, maybe
Probably,
this." and
probably when
then-
I'm babysitting my little sister or something. That's when I'll end up
Oh,
watching
so
it, and
the
then I'll like
kids
fall
will love
asleep.
it. Kind of like a Hotel
Yeah.
Transylvania
Actually, I don't
vibe.
fall asleep.
That is
Yeah.
such a good movie.
I've never seen it.
Here, give me one more. I feel
First
a
one's
sneeze
good.
coming on. I don't know if it's gonna come to fruition. I'll just keep going. So
Thank
I
you
am
for that.
torn
So unnecessary.
because when I heard the premise, I was like, I'm not gonna watch this. Like, the story doesn't make sense. Like, what reality TV show host actually walks into the Addams Family mansion? Like, I'm not thrilled. Hearing the cast though, like, I like those people's voices. I think they're funny. Nick Kroll is outstanding. Finn Wolfhard, he's been getting a lot of good work. So I guess like I like what you guys brought up about streaming. I definitely see it as a movie where like once it's on streaming, I'll click on it and fall asleep to it. Probably won't finish it. And I'll be content. I'll go on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
feel
think
like it's one of those movies where it's like I'm not gonna love it, but I also won't hate it. Like I'll be like, okay, I don't regret watching this, but like,
Yeah.
but I'm glad that I didn't spend money on it. Like that sort of situation.
Sure.
Yeah.
So moving on to the next one. So just announced, very big announcement. People were very excited.
Then I'm gonna be excited.
Legally Blonde 3.
I am not
Yeah,
excited.
I know what you're thinking.
Oh,
Legally Blonde
yeah.
3.
There's
There was
two?
a second one. Yes, and it was called Legally Blonde 2, Red, White, and Blonde. And it was about Elle. She went to D.C. to join the staff of a congresswoman to pass a bill to ban animal testing. So,
Why do people make these movies? Why?
Is
See,
that why
I
Reese
saw-
Witherspoon like posted to her Instagram
So,
like
yes.
#3 or something?
I saw a tweet about this, and if the tweet was the plot of the movie, I would watch it. And it was like, what if in Legally Blonde 3, Elle joins Mueller's team?
oh.
That's
funny.
And I was like,
so
okay, I would watch
I'll
watch
tell you
that.
this much. They haven't revealed the plot. They're keeping it under wraps, but they are saying they're going back to it's going to be very leaning into like obviously the feminism movement and stuff like that
Okay.
versus like the second one was more about politics. and
Actually, yeah,
stuff like
this is a
that.
really good time.
It
to
is
have
a good
Legally
time
Blonde.
to make a movie of that nature.
Mhm.
But that's all they have. I mean, Reese Witherspoon is going to reprise her role for the third time. My favorite was Red, White, and Blonde, but maybe she'll top
Can
it.
I give a guess?
Did you actually see the second one?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
Can I give a guess?
I don't think anyone did.
Elle has a daughter who is 16 years old, and it's gonna fit in with the feminism movement because that's my guess for the plot. That's the
That's
whole.
what
That
Yeah,
is
she
no
has a
description
daughter?
at all.
No.
He's saying that it's gonna focus around Elle's daughter
And,
rather
like,
than
her
Elle because like because now Elle like
Oh,
I'll
and
bet
Elle is
you.
more of a secondary character.
Exactly.
mentor.
because it's just like Reese is
Yeah.
like
Maybe.
I feel like Reese has been doing these movies for a long time. It's like the believability is like
Mhm.
I'm
is she still that young?
I think Ben is saying
Uh,
Reese Witherspoon is old. and
What are
would
you
not
trying to
believe-
say?
But also,
Rude
it
of
could be
you.
her just like further in her
That's true.
law career.
That's
Yeah,
true.
but well, it could also. I feel like if it is about the daughter, it's going to be evenly about the daughter and her. It's not going to be.
That's
like,
true.
There's not going to be scenes where like we're
Yeah.
following just the daughter,
Mhm.
and like
Wait, I
Reese Witherspoon is nowhere to be seen.
Guys, I
Because-
just looked it up. It's been leaked. It's called Legally Blonde: Path to the Blonde House. She's running for president.
Oh,
Thank
oh my God,
you.
Will you stop giving
I'll
our
be here
listeners
all
all this
week.
information they're not allowed to disclose?
The
We're
You're-
gonna
collective
get sued
sigh.
so many times.
Will
this is
makes-
about
Will makes editing the podcast hard because I just have to cut out every single thing that he says.
What are you talking
It's
about?
always
we
the
don't cut
worst.
out anything from the podcast.
Oh no, I only cut out everything that Will says.
Oh,
yeah.
You know that one week where we said Will wasn't there, episode 2? He was
Yeah.
actually there.
Yeah, it's
He
just
said
everything he
everything
said was so unhelpful.
actually terrible.
Yeah.
So go listen to that one. That's a really good episode. So I think it's time to decide, will you watch or pass? Honestly, I'm probably going to there's not much information, but I haven't even seen the first one, so
You mean the second? Oh, you.
I haven't seen any of
Augie.
them.
Okay, well, I saw the first one, but I haven't seen the second, so I will not be seeing the third.
I'm probably not going to see the third as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of still stuck on the fact that there will now be a Legally Blonde trilogy in this world that we live in.
The great trilogies, Lord of the Rings
Star Wars and Legally
and
Blonde.
Legally
Yeah.
Blonde.
But I'll probably, I mean, it's a movie that I don't really want to go see, but I'm sure I'll end up seeing and then be like, it was okay.
There is something to be said that we are not the target audience for this film.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
But
That's true.
if
And
some of us do want to see it, that's an even better sign for the
yeah, I am.
creators of it.
I definitely support the feminist movement, and if it goes that
really?
direction, okay.
You don't have
you
to
know
get
what?
defensive, buddy. No one's questioning.
I wasn't getting defensive. Augie attacked
If
me
you
when I was
don't like
talking
that
in the
movie,
compound.
you're sexist.
Dylan, you are the sexist in the room. So I think that awesome. I think that it's totally necessary. I agree with Noah's point saying that now's a good time to make it, but I haven't seen one, and this won't be my first Legally Blonde movie.
I recommend watching the first, though.
It's
if
good.
If you guys haven't seen it
It's
yet.
a good movie.
I'll watch the first again instead of watching the third.
Will you watch it with me?
Now I just kind of want to watch. Does anyone else just want to like watch the second one?
Red, White, and Blonde.
Yeah.
I'm kind of for the.
Well, have you
meme,
guys ever
like-
seen Legally Blondes?
Okay,
Oh,
we're not getting into
that
next
It's
movie.
two
Moving on.
teen girls. It's basically the story of Legally Blonde, but it's two twins
The twins from
from
Is it-
Zack and
Zack.
Cody.
Oh, no,
but
yeah.
not those. Not the main one.
Wait,
It's the
guys,
girl.
Is it affiliated?
It's
wait,
not
wait.
Zack and Cody.
Zack
Does
and
it
Cody,
does
it's
it
a girl.
count? Is it affiliated with Legally
I
Blonde?
don't really know how it
I
works.
Or
think
is it like
Reese,
a
I'm pretty
blatant
sure Reese
ripoff?
Witherspoon
Maybe
produced it,
but I feel like it was more of like
she wasn't in it. It was
I feel
separate.
like it came out
I'm
more
pretty
like
sure.
on DVD or like on
Yeah.
Disney
Is it
too.
like
Yeah,
part
guys,
of the
maybe-
expanded
yeah.
universe?
Maybe
of
it's a
Legally Blonde?
shameful fact, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of the Legally Blonde, but I think I've seen Legally
I
Blonde.
have also seen
so-
Legally
Oh
Blonde.
my
It's just
God.
playing on Disney Channel, so sorry if that makes anyone upset. So, moving on, our last movie for Would You Watch is just announced. It's about Cupid. It's an animated movie about Cupid. And who voices Cupid, you may ask?
Someone
guess?
big.
Should we all
Yes.
take our best guess?
Yeah, everyone
Let's
guess.
go around.
Ooh, okay. Wait, can you give us a little more information about this movie first?
No.
It's a teen Cupid.
Okay.
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 So,
Patrick Warburton.
no.
That would be- that would
Good
be
call,
incredible.
though.
Ross
Second.
Lynch.
No.
Ooh, that's a
Rush
good guess.
That's a
Limbaugh.
good-
Yeah.
So you already gave your guess.
Are we allowed to know what production company, or would that
No.
give it away? Okay.
Donald Trump.
No, he's not.
Will stop guessing.
If it's Alec Baldwin again, because he just
No.
oh, it's
He was
Teen
the boss
Cupid. It's not a
baby.
baby. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say
It's Justin Bieber.
It is Justin Bieber. Did you know that?
No, I.
It is
Are you
Is it actually?
serious?
I felt it in my
I
heart.
was close.
This is co-produced by Scooter
I'm really proud of myself.
Braun's company, which is Justin Bieber's like the first guy who discovered Justin Bieber,
Yeah,
besides
yeah.
Usher. Yeah, man. So there's not much information out there, but Justin Bieber posted a photo on his Instagram of it, and it looks like it's kind of like a, I guess you could say badass like teen Cupid.
Well-
There's not much information about the plot, and
Okay.
it's from the people who brought you
Well-
Angry Birds, the movie.
I'm out.
If that helps you.
And now I'm out.
Wait.
I was literally in until Angry Birds the movie, and
Isn't
now
Cupid-
I'm out.
They
I'm back out.
would be making this movie and be like, who's gonna voice Cupid? Who's someone current that everyone's talking about still? Justin Bieber.
I really, I really imagine it more as Justin Bieber walked into their office and like slammed his fist down on the table and was like, "I want to be Cupid."
I have a
It's
couple of
his dream
questions.
role.
First of all, isn't Cupid eternally a baby?
You'd think,
Yeah.
right? But I guess they're giving a different
Okay.
twist on
Oh
it.
wait,
And
wait,
that's-
whoa! It's not like a teen, like attitude baby. It's like he is a
No,
teenager.
It's a teen. I'll get a picture.
But-
if you want to look it up,
What?
look up. Oh, actually, Steve Tim, can you look that up for us?
Is Steve here?
Yeah,
Did someone get Steve a mic?
I got a mic.
Steve, why do you have a mic, buddy?
I don't Oh,
Dude, you're not supposed to have.
you guys asked me to buy a mic.
Oh,
Wait, you made a personal investment, Steve, for the podcast? Oh.
How did you know where to find a mic, Steve?
yeah. How did you know how to hook it
Okay, I
up?
got the picture.
That's really impressive.
So that's what it looks like. It's a teen Cupid
Terrible.
type thing.
Okay, you
look
know-
it up if you.
I'm not happy
know,
with this.
That was my
No,
question
no.
because you can see in the picture he's wearing like he's not like he's wearing like old.
It looks like
They
he's
definitely-
a part of the Greek.
they
god,
modeled
like,
the
Right.
hair after Justin's hair.
But my question
It's
was,
Justin Bieber.
if
He
you-
is Cupid.
if you're gonna say Cupid is not eternally a baby, then you're assuming that Cupid can age. Wouldn't that if Cupid's a teen, wouldn't that put this in the year like 15?
Well, maybe
Okay,
in
could
this
you,
story
could you
he's
just
eternally
can you
a
suspend your
teen,
disbelief
yeah.
for one
Well,
project?
if you're asking me to suspend my disbelief one way, you can't expect me to then counteract. That's
Perhaps
something that
he
really
can
gets me in
transform.
movies.
Greek gods can usually transform in mythology.
True.
I'm sure this is very based in the Greek mythology.
Wait, but is
too.
Oh,
Cupid
yeah.
a Greek god?
I think.
Yeah,
Ru-
I'm sure he's part of
Cupid
it.
is-
Am I right
yeah,
about
He's
that?
part of the
He's part of that
mythology,
mythology.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's
I
not
don't
a
think
god.
he's one of the
he-
gods, but he's
Yeah.
like
Could be
he's
a
one of their
demigod.
like he's one of their
Percy
like
Jackson vibes.
messengers.
Why is it
So-
Justin Bieber playing Percy Jackson?
Well, they tried that twice.
Not just Justin Bieber.
That's a good
I
point.
think we're all in agreement that we're not gonna see this
Wait.
movie.
The first Percy
thought they made
Jackson movie
3
was
Percy
good
Jacksons.
Yeah, but they made 2.
It was
different
okay. It wasn't
franchises,
as
I
bad
think.
as people
Wait,
made it out.
what?
Yeah, one was with. Wait, was
But
it all with the same guy?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Logan
Percy Jackson,
Lerman.
yeah.
Oh,
Is that
okay.
his
So
name?
I guess I'm confused because they made the first one and then they made the second one like
They were both
quite a bit after.
Oh yeah, it was
Super
like 10
mediocre.
years later, and like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
they were
but I
all,
did.
like,
I
so much
liked the
older.
first
Yeah.
one. I don't think I saw the,
The first.
second.
Did you
Yeah.
read the books
Yes.
and you liked the first movie?
Yes.
I had the biggest crush on Alexandra
Alec
Daddario.
Baldwin?
Yeah,
Who's that?
Alec Baldwin.
He is a cutie.
Alexandra Daddario. I think that's
Did
her
she
name.
just play the girl?
She played the girl. Yeah.
I think I had a
me
crush on the
too.
girl.
Oh, me
but
too.
for
I had a
reading
crush
the
on the
book,
goat
like,
guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I read the book
yeah.
and had
She's
a crush
supposed to be
on that
blonde
girl.
in the book. I'm pretty sure, and she had like.
That's what I'm saying. The
black
movie
hair.
is it's not that if you had never read the books, the movie would be an entertaining movie. The
Mhm.
issue is, it kind of seems like they said, "Oh, here's the plot of the book. Let's make it into a movie, but not take into account anything that was written in the book
Well,
except for the back cover page."
There is something to be said though about when you're adapting a book to make a movie, and I actually think you can see it a lot in the Harry Potter movies that they may have even gone too far in the direction of adhering to the book, because I don't know if you guys seen Ready Player One, but I walked out of Ready Player One and I was like, this movie was so fun, and it is not that much like the book. Like, it takes the plot, but then kind of what you're saying, like, it kind of builds its own same story, but kind of builds its own. It makes a life of its own for itself. And I heard this kid walking out of the theater behind me, and he was like, I can't believe it, I'm so mad, that was nothing like the book. And that just made me very angry, because I was like, when you're making a movie, your job is not to just recreate what the book made. You're like, if you're building off of it in a positive way, then I'm happy. Like,
I think that's a good
Yeah.
debate because I know if you're going to a movie that's based on a book and you're expecting it to be just like the book, you're gonna be disappointed because there's some things that you almost can't translate into a movie that you have in a book. Like
and think of how long it takes you to read a book, or even just how many scenes there are in a book. Like, if one
There's
book
no
was one
limitations.
movie, it would be such a long movie. Like, Lord of the Rings cuts a lot out, and it's still like a 4-hour movie or something. Like, it's
well,
crazy.
something I was told is if you're making a book into a script or a movie, you assume every page of the book would be 1 minute of screen time. You can't have,
Yeah,
200. Like, think about
right.
a book.
Well,
like,
yeah, that's
like,
yeah.
that's what.
So I think that's a good topic because would you rather a really long movie that is exactly telling the story of your book, or would you rather have them transform it a little bit into maybe a new story that you might like, with the same elements and the same general guideline, and it's shorter?
So I just want to say Noah can tag on to this because I know you've read all the Harry Potter books, right? Yes,
maybe.
Noah.
I've read all the Harry Potter.
all the Harry
books,
Potter
and-
I read them.
I got bored in the
7
fifth one.
times.
The fifth
I-
one is
Okay, yeah,
brutal.
no,
I
I'm
don't
just
blame
saying-
you.
I got bored in the fifth one.
Noah's
It
a
was
really
long.
Thing's
big fan,
brutal.
so I'm just gonna
Yeah.
say I'm gonna preface this by saying I've never read the books. I plan on reading them,
Mhm.
but I am a huge fan of the movies. Like, love them, and every time I watch them, my girlfriend's a big fan, and we watch them together. And she will point out all of the things that are not in the books, and I'll literally, or not in the movies that are from the books, and I'll pause it, and she'll fill me in for 10 minutes on everything that's missing. And personally, I would rather
God,
be
I
like
do
a
not want to watch a movie with you.
well, no, but okay. I would rather Harry Potter be a 5-hour movie and put everything that was in the books because I absolutely love those movies, and I would be willing to.
but
put
that's
in 5.
impractical
But-
and
Yeah, very
terrible.
Yeah.
You
Like,
like the
like, would you
movies
want to watch?
maybe because they took out those things that would have bogged it down so much. They made it that why part of why people like movies is the efficiency, and there's a format to making a movies, and writing a book just follows a different arc and format. So there is that that problem with trying to make a completely faithful adaptation from a book.
I wanna
Yeah.
hear Noah's opinion.
Yeah. So it actually really annoys me when like big Harry Potter fans, if someone's like, "Oh yeah, I love the movies. I haven't read the book," and then like these big fans are like, "You haven't read the book? Well, the movies." Blah, blah, blah. And they like get so mad. It's like, let them enjoy the movies. You know, they don't have to read the books. If they enjoy the movies and want to read the books, then great. But like the movies are a separate thing. And you can watch them without reading the books. Once you know what you've missed in the books, I mean, you'll want to read the books or wish that more of it was in the movies. But if you just watch the movies without knowing anything about the books or anything like that, like they're really enjoyable and really
Yeah.
well made.
And
they cut the things out that were like too long perfectly, where you're not really missing things.
Mhm.
Only one thing really annoyed me, and that is in the Deathly Hallows. In the movie Part 2, Harry breaks the Elder Wand,
Whoa,
and throws it.
spoilers. I'm just kidding.
and in
It's
the
fine.
books he uses it first to repair his old wand, because it's the only wand that can repair a wand. He repairs his old wand, then breaks it.
That would be
but in the
much
movie,
smarter.
he just breaks it and throws it. He doesn't have a wand.
but-
right.
and I'm
but-
just like, come on, dude. Like
This-
that was such a small thing that they
But
could have
that's
still put in the
actually-
movie. and-
That's such a perfect example of what I'm talking about, though, in the difference between books and movies. In a book, there's something about I'm sure there's an actual like someone who studies writing like much more than I have would be able to give you a much more detailed account of why this is. But in a book, you have so much more patience for those little details, and then it still feels epic when those big moments happen. But in a movie, you want to go from one epic moment to the next somewhat important or epic moment. So it would just be a break in momentum if he stopped to fix his wand, then broke it and threw it off.
no, but this was the very end of the movie, and it was like
Slow.
the battle had just ended. Like all the big stuff was over, and it was what's after the climax, the
Falling
action.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was like, you know, like they were just kind of standing talking about what just happened. He's like looking out in the distance. Like it was a scene where like
He could have just
He
had the
could have done
broken
it.
wand
Yeah.
with him.
I
yeah,
guess
exactly. Pull it out of his pocket. They're like, "What are you doing?" Reparo fixes the wand. They're like, "What?" And then he snaps the elder
Yeah.
wand. It's like, "Oh, what? What's happening?" It would have even like built.
Yeah, but how
up to it
how,
more and,
how
like-
lame is it for him to stop
Yeah,
and fix his
exactly,
wand? It's so
exactly.
much more
No, it's not.
cooler if
No, but
in the
it's
moment.
also-
No,
it's
but
a
when you watch all the
breaks it.
movies, you
It's a solemn moment.
recognize his wand, and you know, like throughout all the movies, what his wand is, the significance of it.
Then-
that
yeah,
it's
but
the
he
brother.
doesn't need his wand fixed because he's won the battle.
That
so
brings-
if you
that
just,
brings up a
you
great-
just
maybe-
break
Maybe
the
the
wand.
screenwriters were just they wanted a different.
was a long
Well, obviously
That
there was a
also,
reason,
And it's also
obviously,
the last
yeah.
movie. You need that finality.
That also
Mm-hmm.
brings up
I made up a
a
word.
really interesting point, which is the wand is almost a character in of itself. So then you
Exactly.
don't want to see if a character dies in a movie series, you don't want to see it brought back to life at the end because then it's like, well, then there were no losses.
that's a
You
good
need
topic.
that-
But also,
heavy-
they didn't make it a big deal when actually did it even break? I
don't
can't
think
even
it
remember
breaks.
now.
I don't
It
even
doesn't
remember.
break,
I don't even know.
Then this whole conversation was pointless.
How does-
But it does bring us to a good topic.
No, it has to break because that's a huge thing where he doesn't have a wand. Continue. Yeah,
I think
Which
it does.
is-
It does.
Draco's
Because
yeah.
he uses
He
someone
uses
else's.
Draco's,
which
yeah.
is bringing back characters from the dead when it
Oh.
and it's the most annoying. Like, for example,
This is gonna be big
Just-
spoilers.
okay, yeah, well,
Yeah.
Spoiler
yeah, okay.
alert.
If you haven't seen Stranger Things yet,
Uh-oh.
The
I
second
have,
season.
and I don't know who gets brought back from the dead, so you're safe.
Wait,
the
still if
second
you're
season?
listening to this.
both.
I've only
So-
seen the first season,
okay.
like 4 episodes.
Okay, well, you'll know this. So basically,
Oh,
Um,
okay, yeah.
11 at the end of
Mhm.
season 1. Well, I had the problem with Stranger Things season 1 to season 2 as a whole because they closed up every loose end at the end of season 1 and then just added that little like thing at
Yep.
the end. But most importantly, like they killed off 11, which was a really big deal. That was the main like fan favorite everything, and they did it in such a beautiful way. But you just knew that they were going to bring her back, and I really think like the story could have still been served with her just gone and them
Yeah.
having to do it without her.
Sorry, Millie.
And I just think like
Bobby
very
Brown.
rarely will you watch a story and they'll actually kill off someone for good before the end of the story type thing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like before the last movie, before the
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I have something to say, but it is kind of a spoiler for Game of Thrones. I think like 2 seasons ago, but just if anybody here, I want to be sensitive to the fact if anybody's about to watch through it or something. I'm good. I think most people will know either way.
Jon Snow.
Is it
Yeah, Jon Snow
Okay,
dies.
Yeah, I didn't, I didn't watch it, and I knew that.
Yeah,
so.
it was everywhere, but it was a really huge deal.
Kit
and
Harington.
this also happens.
Because it was at the end of the season.
Yes, and it also happens in the books, so it's a little bit better, I guess. But he dies and gets brought back to life, and it is in the lore of the series too.
Yeah.
To be a nerd in the lore of the series, it does make sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And they made it a one-time thing, so it's better, but it still makes you feel less suspense. It takes because the suspense is Game of Thrones, anyone can die, like no punch is held, but then it's just all of a sudden now you just feel less scared about the character death.
You mean stakes, yeah.
So Dylan, just kind of like I think I understand what you're saying that the big part of Game of Thrones is anyone can die, and they really make a point of that.
Yes.
But when Jon Snow died, I binge watched it because season 7 was coming out, and I had not seen any of it.
Yeah.
So like in the summer before it came out, I watched all of it. And when he died, of course, I could just go to the next episode where they bring him back, and I knew he was going to be back. But I was still like, wait, he died? Like what? And then they brought him back, but I'm still worried about him.
Oh, yeah.
dying.
Yeah, I mean, I
No,
think
I'm
Game of Thrones
almost-
is probably the worst example because they
I'm just
kill
using
off a
it
lot of
because it's
their
such
characters.
a pure example of killing someone and bringing them back.
Right.
Especially because the show's never done it. But I'm still a huge Game of Thrones fan, and it bothered me for like a hot second, and now I'm really fine with it. Like, it's not something that makes me mad at all.
I think when it's something that makes, I know this is kind of crazy bringing someone back to life making sense, but sometimes it literally just makes sense. Whereas like sometimes you have movies where it's like this person, or like TV like Stranger Things, where it's like you could have left them dead, no one would have been upset.
Right. Yeah, I have a question. Just thinking about like killing off characters and stuff. Does anyone still watch The Walking Dead? Like,
I was such a
God,
huge
no.
fan.
I know,
Do they still
yeah,
make that? That cannot still be
Dylan
being
and good
made.
friend of the podcast, Eli, they used to always talk about it, and I would
Oh
be like,
my
"What?"
God.
Like I never understood because
We
I never
quit it, like,
watched
the
Wait,
same
is it
time,
still
too.
being made?
Yeah.
The main character just quit the show because he was like, I have to move on to other projects. Like, this
Yeah,
is
like
Yeah,
get
that's
a
my
get a
question.
life,
sinking
dude.
ship.
Who is
Yeah.
still watching? I know at one point it was like the #1 show on TV and all this stuff, but like, are people really still watching? Are like millions of people still watching? It must
I
be.
guess
They're
they
still
have
making-
like
not
a
the number
big
one show
fan
on TV
base
anymore.
that's like dedicated.
And isn't
They-
that crazy? Just how the rise and fall. We were talking about Jake and Logan Paul. The rise and fall of everything. Nothing is on top forever. It's so
I
interesting.
think go ahead.
Oh, I just think it could have been, at least for much longer than it was. The mistake that they made is one of those frustrating things where I'm sure that the people in the writers' room of The Walking Dead are much better writers than me, but I'm also sure that I could go into the writer room and say, this is what you need to not do, and like and it's very easy looking back too. I do understand that, but it just feels so clear to me, like they took all the parts of the show that I kind of lived with to enjoy the good parts, and then they took out the good parts and just had the just bearable parts.
It is based on a comic though, so they do kind of follow that. Did you know that?
Oh yes,
Okay,
yeah,
just
yeah,
making
yeah.
sure.
I mean, I just feel like, even if it is based on a comic, if you have a drama show going for like more than 6 seasons, it's probably overkill at this point.
And
Like,
there was some
there's only
BS
so
there.
many conflicts that.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
my family we were huge fans of that show, like even probably until like a year or two ago. And I think what happened to us, I'm assuming what happened to a lot of people, is we did not have AMC on our TV. We had to stream it, and you can't stream it until, like 6-7 months, maybe even a year after, like on the streaming service we had until.
Sure.
So what would happen is, like, we watched season 1 through 4 because they were all out, and then season 5 comes out on TV, but we don't have that channel, so we wait for it to come on Netflix 7 months later, and at that point the next season's already airing, and it got to the point where 7 months later we're like, who are what's going on? And we'd have to rewatch the last episode before, and then that kept happening, and we're like, so yeah, some of that's on us, but I think it's also kind of the job of the like.
Oh, I mean, every new season you're supposed to remind people of what happened last because
right.
it's the format of a season.
But
Yeah.
things would happen, I would just have no idea what was going on, and I think that happened with a lot of people.
And it ties back to what we were talking about earlier, the oversaturation of content, where there's only so many times you can watch another fight with zombies or someone else be like in the camp and be like waiting and tired and hungry. Like it just gets old. And I got that way with Marvel movies too. I stopped watching. I never watched The Walking Dead, but with Marvel movies, there was only so many times I could see it, and the funny
Yeah.
jokes, and then the action scene, and then they're about to die, but they never die. Yes.
Yeah, like it's such like cookie cutter fashion. Like,
Right.
But just a quick little cliffhanger to think about with oversaturation and stuff like that. I literally just got a notification. Might not be true, but Game of Thrones has just been picked up for a prequel taking place 1,000 years before the events now, and I just want to put that out there for you guys to think about. Could be false, but
1,000 years is a
No,
long time.
I heard they were actually looking into that for a long
Yeah.
time. The author really wanted that to happen.
But, like-
George R. R.
interesting.
Martin.
I think I'd rather watch that than just like I guess Game of Thrones isn't really the problem, but like I do agree with what you guys are saying about like it's just mindless to like keep making
Yeah.
those seasons of zombie. Like I really liked how you put it, Augie, and it makes me think like, come on, guys, like even the writers, like they sure maybe it's a paycheck, but like
I mean, it all comes down to that in the end.
but it's like at what point do you like want to like do something new, create something
Spread
different?
your wings and fly.
Speaking
Yeah,
of
leave the
paychecks,
nest.
if you like this podcast, send us some millions of dollars.
Millions.
Yes.
Hey Ben, have you been working out, buddy? You look pretty ripped today.
It's because he's wearing like an extra small
No,
shirt.
but look at that. Look at that. His right bicep is
Thank
just
you. I
extra
mean, I
popping.
actually have. I didn't, but I haven't been seeing. Thank you.
Proud of you, but the left one needs a little.
No, no, guys. I noticed that. No,
Thank you, Noah.
no. I've been noticing that too. I've been just doing
Are
push-ups.
you're
so, like-
right-handed?
yeah, I am
Okay, yeah.
right-handed.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like my right arm is also strong.
mm.
It's because you use it in everyday things.
Yeah, my,
you're
my,
we
my
know.
left
Your
arm is
dominant
definitely
arm.
slacking.
While we close out this podcast, Ben and I are gonna do a push-off contest.
Push
right
off?
now. A push-up. Push-up. Sorry,
What the hell
push-up.
is push off.
Push-up.
Wait, but I
contest.
actually just before we go, I do want to leave the viewers with a question, and especially on YouTube, I would like someone to tell me what was the big thing that made Infinity War different from all the other Marvel movies. Because I've had this debate with some people in this room, I've had it with some of my friends just outside the podcast, and what people have said are every Marvel movie has kind of, I feel, and people agree, followed a cookie cutter fashion, but people said that Infinity War broke that kind of pattern. So I'm interested to hear how you guys think it did that.
And also, I think with Anchor, you can like send in like actual voice questions or
Nice.
responses. So
Very cool.
if anyone wants to experiment with that, we'd love to hear you guys. But with that, we're going to wrap up the 4th installment of the French Fox podcast. Thank you all so much for listening. You can hear us right now on YouTube, iTunes, and Anchor, but more are coming like Google Play and stuff like that. Very exciting. So thank you all for listening, and that's about it. So signing out, Dylan,
Goodbye.
Will,
See you later, guys.
Ben,
I'm flexing, and see you guys.
Augie, thank you all for listening. And Noah, the birthday boy, give us our final word.
Lasagna.
Thank you all so much for listening to the French Fox Podcast, available everywhere where podcasts are streamed. Come back every Thursday for a new episode. Maybe we'll even have a special guest next time. You never know. If you'd like to see someone on the podcast, let us know. We'll reach out to them. That's it. Thank you all for listening. Come on.